Hi, I'm Chris from Development. Let's take a look at using the Pages module on the Coronium Core server. And the Pages module allows you to create public-facing web pages that can display data you've collected in your Corona app and also collect data from a web page to be used within your Corona application. So this can be useful for a variety of different things, including showing leaderboards or data specific to a user, all sorts of interesting stuff. So you can create dynamic web pages using Lua, as well as templating and then calling the different APIs, the server module APIs within this. So the first thing that you need to know when you are going to start using Pages, you need to authenticate the Pages module. And the way that you do this is actually through a Corona client. So we'll look at that first. If you attempt to use the Pages API before authenticating it, then you will get an error and you won't be able to access it. And you would see, if you were interested in the server log, there will be a notice letting you know that the Pages module has not been authenticated. So it's a good thing to go through the documentation here under the Pages guide, which will show you all of these things I'm talking about, as well as how to configure the Pages module. Again, we do this in the Corona API, so I'm here on the documentation, and you can see here there is a important note to see the configuration section. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at that. And this is going to show me how to validate the plugin. And it's very simple. When you do it once, and then it's set for the life of the server. So really all it is just this simple piece of code here, and we're going to go ahead and put this into a Corona project. So let's take a look at the project here real quick. We're still utilizing the project I was using in the other videos. And to do this, all we need to do is make this call to the server just using a project. So I'm going to go ahead and in the documentation here, I'm going to just grab this little function. I'm going to go back into my Corona project, and then I'll just paste that here. And once I run this project again, it's going to go ahead and call this core.pages generate auth, and then it's going to create an authentication token that will confirm that you do have a Coronium plugin and that the module can be activated. So let's go ahead and refresh this, and we get result true, which is what we want to see, and that's it. We're done. We've authenticated the Pages module. So we can get rid of that, and we never have to look at that again for the life of the server. If you reinstall a different server, or if you install a new server instance, you'll need to run that against it, and if you reinstall your Coronium on the instance you have, you will need to rerun that. But after that, it's all done. So we'll go into looking into how we build pages, dynamic pages, using the Pages API. And I have a little folder here, so we're not really going to be doing too much in the Corona side here at this point. The first thing we should do is just create a test, echo back some response data to the web page. And to do this, we'll take a look at using the Pages API. And if you go to the documentation, in here there is an overview of how you use that API and then the different methods that you have available to you. So first we'll just make a quick, simple, basic echo. So I have a Pages folder here where I'm kind of keeping my work here for the pages. I'm going to create a new file, and these are just Lua files, so I'm going to call this echo.lua. And a thing to note is that the name of the file actually becomes the endpoint for the address on the client browser. So this will be our echo endpoint, and this will be we're going to place this in the root of our Pages directory, and then so we'll access it that way. And let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to pop open the SFTP, and we're going to log into the server. And that would be with the Coronium user. And once we're in here, we have the handful of folders here on our home Coronium directory, and we're going to be using the Pages directory. And in here is just a blank default index page. And if we go over here to the browser, I'm at my endpoint here, core.development.com, and that's actually just pulling up that blank index page. So we'll go back over to our project, and let's go ahead and utilize the Pages API. So to do that, we need to get a reference to a page object. And to do that, we say local page core.pages.new, and this will give us a new page object. And in the documentation here, there is a listing of all the different items you have available on this page object. These are the different properties, and then you have methods available on it as well. So what we're going to be using is the response method. We're just going to quickly send back a response to the browser using this Lua. So let me get back over here. So to do that, we just say page.response, and then whatever we want to respond to, whatever body we want to send back to the browser. So we're going to say, hello, I'm a page. And we're going to save that up, and then we're going to push that back up to the server here, and then I'm just putting it in the root of my pages directory, and that will mean I can access it from the root of my browser here. So I go over here, I'm in my core.elephant, and then I'm going to just do /echo. And then once I call that endpoint, then it's going to go ahead and give me that response back, which was the hello, I'm a page. So that's the real basics of how you get a reference to the page object and then how you respond to something. So let's look at templating. And the templating is again outlined in the documentation, and that's under the template method, but there's also a section dedicated to templates that talk a lot about how you utilize the different tags, how you can loop some data, etc., etc. So what I've done is I have a template that I put together here for a demonstration, and this is basically a bootstrap template here. And down here, if I scroll a little bit, you can see that I have this little template tag, and one of my variables I have going to need to pass is the nav_title, and then over here I have a name variable placeholder that I can pass a name to. So I'm going to go ahead and push the template up to the server. I'm going to create a new directory, and we'll just call this site. And inside this directory, we'll go ahead and add this template. And now we can start writing the Lua code to actually populate the values here in this template. So to do that, I'm just going to create a new file, and we'll just call this welcome.lua. And again, this file name will become my endpoint on the server, and this is going to be in the site directory. So our full path will be /site/welcome. We need to grab a reference to the page object. So that's core.pages.new. And then we're going to push some data to the template, and then we're going to push that template string back down to the client browser as a response. So we need a template string that we're going to compile here. So we do, let's call this body equals, and then this is on the page object that we created. So page.template, and then we need a reference to where that template exists, and that's at site index.tpl. And then we're going to pass a table with some data in here. So I'm just going to call it data, and then we'll create that table up here. And that's going to be, we need the name. So we'll just say Sally, and then we had the other value we had in there was nav title equals my site. Okay, so we have the keys here, and then reference to the template, which was in here in our site folder. Then we pass that data, and then we'll get back that compiled template here. So then we're going to need to respond with that. So it's page.response body, and then we can upload this to the server and call that endpoint. So I'm going to push my welcome Lua up here, and then here I should be able to go to site welcome, and then we get this not very attractive looking template back, and here's the value for the nav title, and then here's our hello Sally, and that was the keys that we passed to the template. So it went ahead and compiled that all up and just replaced these for us, and then sent it back to us as this body string, and then we just respond with that. So that's the basics of how you can utilize some templating. The next thing we'll look at here real quick is how you can collect some data, and we can do that with a form. So this is outlined also as well in the documentation, but we'll just take a quick look at it. So I have just a regular plain HTML file here, again wrapped with some Bootstrap, and it has a form that I have put in here, and then I have my action, which is form submit, and then we're going to post to it. It's taking a first name and a last name. So let's go ahead and we'll create a new folder up in our pages directory, and we'll call this one form. And this again creates the endpoint for us, or the path at least. So we're going to be going to form, and then we're going to go ahead and let's upload this index.html into the form here, and then we can take a look at what that looks like here before we start messing with it. So here we have our form, first name, last name, and then our submit button. And let's go back over here. So let's wire this up. So we're going to need to create a submit Lua, because that's where we're posting the form to. So let's make our file here, and we'll say submit.lua. And here we want to get a reference to a page object. So page equals core.pages.new. And we are taking in a form. So there's a few things we want to do when we do this. We can use some properties of the page object here that can help us along here. And one of those, there's a whole bunch here. One of them is has form. Basically, it's going to check to see do we have something that resembles a form, and then we can take action on it appropriately. If we know we do have a form, then we can actually access that form here with the form property, and that will basically bring back all the key value pairs of the form as a table. So if we were to take a closer look at this form again, we can see that we have a first name input and a last name input. So basically, when this form is pushed to our page, our submit Lua, these form keys will be all put into a table, and so we'll have access to the first name and last name. So what we want to do then is we want to check to make sure we have a form. So we can say page has form. If page has form, then we will take appropriate action. And if it has a form, then we can start to grab these values out of it. So we'll just call this first, and we'll say, and that's on the form, page.form property. And we'll say first name, that was the first name, and then last equals page.form.last name. And then we can just print out a response back to the client telling them that we got this information from them. So we'll do page.response, and then we'll say thank you, and we'll go ahead and put first and last name in there. Okay, now if we don't have a form, we might want to print something else out, like page response, no form posted. But again, it's completely up to you how you want to handle that situation. So once we have this, then we should be able to take in our form, and we'll see if we get these values back. So let's go ahead and push our submit.lua up, and then we'll go back over here to our website page. Let's go ahead and refresh that, and let's put in some values and see what happens here. So we submitted our form to our Lua endpoint, and then we get our response here, and it grabbed the values from the form. So we got thank you, Steve Jones. And so that's how we can grab a form and utilize that. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and continue on with the part 2, and then we'll look at how we can use server-side modules within this code here, and we'll save this form data to the database. Thanks for watching.